Senator, thank you. Listen, let's start with your speech tomorrow night. Your filibuster on gun control has kind of made you the point man in the Democratic push for more gun control. That'll be the focus of your speech tomorrow night at the convention. The issue of guns means different things in different states, as you know, but you believe this is a nationally winning issue this year, right?
I think this is a winning issue because people have seen tragedy after tragedy, like we went through in Sandy Hook, but they now see the intersection of guns with terrorism. They now see that groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda aren't trying to hijack airplanes. They're going to gun shows to buy assault weapons, and they're taking advantage of our loose gun laws. So this has become an imperative to try to keep people safe and to try to protect our country from terrorism. That's why it's become a big issue here at the Democratic Convention and a big issue all across this country.
Now, gun rights advocates are going to say, okay, it's one thing to make this connection with folks, gun control, and people on the terror watch list. It's another thing to say terrorists are buying guns at gun shows. They're going to argue that's a stretch of what's happening. You argue that's not a stretch.
Well, what we know is that this issue of stopping people on the terrorist watch list from buying guns is controversial only in the United States Congress. 90% of Americans support stopping potential terrorists from getting guns, and polling suggests more Republicans than Democrats actually support it. So there may be a very small minority of Second Amendment absolutists who want the criminal background check system eviscerated, but for 9 out of 10 Americans, they want change on this issue. They want to make their streets safer.
But tying terrorists to gun shows, is there any factual proof that there is a tie there?
Well, what we know is that on an annual basis, about 200 people who are on the terrorist watch list walk into gun stores to buy guns. Now, we don't know how many of them walk into gun stores because they don't have to go through background checks. Studies show that about 40% of guns are sold outside of the stores, outside of bricks and mortar stores, much of those happening at gun shows. So it stands to reason that there are probably dozens, if not over 100 people every year who are on the terrorist watch list walking into gun shows to buy guns. But let's be honest, right now, if you're on the terrorist watch list and you walk into a gun store to buy a gun, you walk out of there with the gun. So we should start by stopping people from walking out of gun stores with expensive, powerful, deadly assault weapons.
There's been something of a bumpy start to this convention. Some Sanders delegates have been unhappy, especially after those leaked DNC emails that appear to show that the deck was stacked against Bernie Sanders. Some folks tonight walking out after Mrs. Clinton reached the nomination mark. Have Mrs. Clinton and Bernie Sanders been able to do enough to pull this party back together here toward the end of the convention?
So the convention is right behind me as we speak, and I was here on the floor at the moment when Bernie made the motion for the entire convention to endorse Hillary Clinton, and there was an explosion of applause and cheers here. This is a unified convention. Now, of course, there are some people who are upset, but I was also, around to remember 8 years ago when there were a bunch of very unhappy Hillary Clinton delegates who left the 2008 convention pledging to not work for Barack Obama. They did, in part because they realized what the stakes were, and I think with a few exceptions, that will be true as well for all of the very passionate Bernie Sanders supporters, many of them from Connecticut, who are here this week.
In Connecticut, as you know, there are a lot of people unhappy with the way things are going in the state right now. The state budget is a mess. There have been a bunch of state layoffs. Some Republicans insist that Donald Trump has a shot at winning this state in the general election. Does Donald Trump have a chance to win Connecticut?
I don't think Donald Trump has a chance to win Connecticut. The fact of the matter is we are a tolerant state. People in Connecticut are just simply not going to accept this message, this radical message of misogyny and racism that comes from the Trump campaign. He'd be a terrible, terrible president for our state, and I don't think that he has any chance of winning. I know that the Trump campaign tries to suggest that Connecticut is up for grabs. I really don't think it is. That being said, I never take anything for granted, so I'm going to be out there traveling throughout all of Connecticut's towns and cities, working hard for Hillary Clinton.
Senator, thank you. We'll be watching your speech tomorrow night. We appreciate your time.